I was his wife. He also had a fiancé, 2 kids, and a whole second family. For 17 years, I had no idea. I accidentally found my husband's secret Facebook profile and discovered he had a fiancé, 2 kids, and a whole second family he had been hiding for 17 years. I was not suspicious. I was not snooping. I was sitting at my laptop on a completely ordinary afternoon, trying to set up a new Facebook account. You have to search for people you know to get the friend suggestions started. So I typed in my husband's name. 2 profiles came up. The first one was his, the one I already knew about, the one with our family photos and our kids, and 25 years of a life I thought I understood completely. The second one had a different last name. I told myself it was a coincidence. Same first name, different person. I almost kept scrolling. I almost closed the tab and went on with my day. But I clicked it. The profile was mostly public, and the photos loaded one by one. Him kissing a woman I had never seen before. Him at what looked like a birthday party. 2 teenagers who looked so much like him. My stomach dropped before my brain caught up. Him in someone else's kitchen. Him at Christmas in someone else's living room. A whole album of a life I had never seen. He had used his middle name and a different last name. He had built a complete wall between his 2 lives and made sure they would never accidentally touch. My husband is an insurance broker. He travels every second week to another branch of his firm. That is what he told me when we got married. That is what I believed for 17 years. Every other week he was gone, and I was home with our 3 kids holding everything together. And I thought that was just our life. That was just how it worked. He was in Albuquerque. That is where his other branch is. That is where she is. That is where they are, his fiancé. 2 kids, both early teenagers. I sat and did the math. The numbers hit me like something physical. His kids with her are early teenagers, which means this started when our own kids were small. When I was home every night putting our children to bed, he was building a second family in another city, not a one-time mistake, not a brief affair, a second family, a woman he was planning to marry, 2 children he was raising, a Facebook profile with a different last name. So none of it would ever find its way back to me. For 17 years. He was in Albuquerque when I found out, which meant he was there with them. While I was sitting at my kitchen table staring at photos of his other life. I did not call him. I did not do anything for a long time. I just sat there, trying to understand how someone looks you in the face every single day. For 25 years, and never shows you anything. I posted about it because I had no one else to tell in that moment. My kids were living their lives. He was gone. And I had just found out that the person I had built everything around had been someone else entirely for most of our marriage. I needed someone to hear it. The responses were clear. Move quietly. Move fast. Do not let him know I know until I am protected. So I made 2 calls. The first one was to a lawyer. I did not know much about divorce law, but I knew I needed to understand what I was walking into. Before he had any idea I had found anything. People in the comments pointed out something I had not thought about yet. He had gotten engaged to this woman. He had put a ring on her finger. That meant at some point he was going to have to choose. And whatever that moment looked like, I was not going to be unprepared for it. The second call was harder. I found her. Once you have the profile, you have everything. I thought about it for a long time before I reached out. Part of me felt for her before I even spoke to her, and I was right to. When I told her the truth, she was completely devastated. She had no idea he was married, no idea he had 3 other children. She had believed everything he told her for years. She had built her entire life around him the same way I had, just from the other side of a wall he had constructed so carefully, that neither of us ever knew the other existed. I thought that telling her would feel like something, some kind of release, or justice, or at least relief. It did not. It just meant there were now 2 of us sitting in the same wreckage. When he came home, I was ready. I told him what I found. I told him I had already spoken to an attorney. I told him I had already spoken to her. He is in a hotel now. I do not know exactly what the next steps look like. There is a divorce coming. There are financial conversations I am not ready for. And at some point, I'm going to have to sit down with my children and tell them something I genuinely do not know how to say. What do you tell 3 kids about a father who was also someone else entirely for their whole lives? How do you explain that the man they grew up with had a whole second family in another city and that none of us knew? I keep coming back to how it started. I was just setting up a Facebook account. Not suspicious, not looking for anything. Just doing something completely routine on a completely ordinary afternoon. And that is how 17 years of lies came apart in 30 seconds. I do not know if I was supposed to find it. I do not know if some part of me already knew and just needed the moment to confirm it. What I know is that I have a lawyer, a folder of screenshots, and the beginning of a life I did not plan but am going to have to build. He had a second profile, a second family, and 17 years of lies. And I found all of it because I was just trying to set up a Facebook account. Like, it even matters now.